Hi, I'm Stuart Flint from Flint Analytics, and in this series I'm going to look at some of the technology that I use to do data science. I had a realization with Excel that the main criticism of Excel was coming on social media from people with a vested interest in selling other products. And since I realized that, it's almost been that confirmation bias where I'm just everything I see is from somebody with that vested interest. So I want to talk about why that is, why they're selling products against Excel. But firstly, I thought I'd talk about why I really think Excel's an important part for any organization. And that is, it's a blank canvas for everybody. You know, you can go in there and create what you want. There's very few restrictions in Excel, and I think that's a really important point about why it's good to use. There's no barrier to entry. Generally speaking, it's on all our machines. If there is a barrier to entry and you don't want to go and purchase an Office license, then you can go and get like a Google spreadsheets and do basically the same thing with that. Also, the user base is broad enough that we can find somebody who knows how to do something in Excel one or two desks away in a way that we can't necessarily do with other software. And I think the fourth thing that's only really came to light to me over the last few weeks is that people actually feel control in Excel. They feel like they can control what they need to control. And this is especially important in a project that we've just done where we've been rolling out enterprise-wide business intelligence reporting, where we're replacing people who have had Excel and have been doing the reporting with Excel, we're replacing with a configured system. And we're noticing the behavior is, well, I was actually quite comfortable in Excel, and now you're giving me something that I have less control over. And so that's a really interesting point and a really good point that most people who are less technical will feel in control with Excel in a way that they won't with another product. Where I wouldn't use Excel is when there's complexity. And I think of it maybe as kind of a 3-sheet limit where, okay, well, if you're starting to get into sort of more than 3 sheets, or if your data's just so big, and if the calculations you're doing just start to get to a certain level of complexity, I think that's the time to move away from Excel. Also, where you want a repeatable process, or where you're actually kind of reading in from other sheets, I think is probably another good place to say you've probably got a little bit too complex or a little bit too big. And also the third thing there I'd say is, look, I'd encourage anybody doing anything Excel to think of it in terms of, stage what you've got. Have the first sheet have a number on it that says, okay, first step here, second step here, is here, third step is here, fourth step is here, so that you actually then make it, for the people who are using that sheet, they can see clearly what you've done, because I think Excel can be quite daunting because it doesn't have that linear flow to it. So that's really, I guess, where I wouldn't use it. What I actually do use it for is where I'm trying to do quick analysis. So a pivot table is a really good way of taking some a table of data and getting quick insights and quick calculations on it. So I love pivot tables, and I love quick charting with Excel. It's so easy. It's there. You can see it. Whereas you get that functionality in other different systems and things like R and Python can do those things. It's just so easy with Excel, and so I will make that my starting point. If I'm working with anybody who's not as technically savvy, then Excel is a great way of working collaboratively with them. And I guess thirdly, with CSV files, or I guess taking data maybe out of Excel sheets and creating CSV files, I love using Excel to do that. I love using Excel to either sort and add columns based on certain criteria, or just putting in logic to actually generate that and then creating the CSV file off it. It's a good way of actually kind of creating a CSV file to park somewhere and be your main source of data. So that's how I use Excel. really interested in how you use it and whether you disagree with